Hello, Abigail here with the Tarotscopes for Aquarius season, Scorpio sun, moon, and rising. My Scorpios, this is an intense season. I do always feel a little better when I'm talking to a Mars sign about an intense season. However, your ruler is retrograde. So tricky. It's also in a trine. So there's this free flow between you and this retrograde on top of that being your ruler. So just know that we're still going to be feeling that pinch, that intensity, that overwhelm. A lot of the Scorpios I know are experiencing, a lot of really kind of I don't want to put this, just this feeling of being overtaken and not being able to quite get your feet. It's very normal in a Mars retrograde, so don't worry. Also, just a reminder, a lot of stuff is shifting this year. It doesn't feel to me a lot of really karmic, time sensitive stuff is going to happen, and it's going to be driven by the universe. So release the need to do, release the need to force stuff. Also, your spread, it's really interesting. And your indicator card is also fascinating. But just remember that we also have the next season is eclipse season. It's sharing an eclipse season with the other Mars ruled sign. So, we're going to have that Aries new moon. We're also going to have the Virgo full moon. They're both going to be eclipses. So, why am I telling you this? It's because that energy is going to pull us into it, especially with Neptune moving into Aries and Pisces season, the Venus retrograde in Pisces season. Excuse me. I have tummy problems, so sometimes we have to deal with that. Anyways, there's just Aquarius season is going to feel like we're being pulled into some form of vortex. Just heads up. Um, but release yourself of the pressure to do anything. The stuff that happens now is going to be very specific timing wise. It's going to be spirit led. I know several people who are like, some crazy stuff just happened. It wasn't bad. It just was unexpected and it was back to back to back. So look for that, appreciate it when it happens, allow yourself downtime when you feel stagnant. It is just what happens in a personal planet retrograde. Heads up. Your indicator card is Oracle, and I love this. It feels like there's a deep message for you in Aquarius season, and maybe it comes from an oracle, but maybe you are the oracle. Maybe you are pulling deep, rich messages from the ethers of the universe. Allow yourself to sit there and to listen and know that it doesn't always need to be communicated or communicable, but you just need to know and to listen to this energy currently. It is going to give you a lot of guidance and wisdom and insight on your path ahead. And I think some of my Scorpios are going to be called into some form of spiritual connection or practice. And a reminder, like, just because you're called to a spiritual connection or practice doesn't mean it has to be your job. That's a very capitalistic view. Have I made it mine? Yes. That was a path I had to walk. But know that this can just be a deep enriching of your life, a path that doesn't need to become public per se, but you're going to be getting this energy. And if that's not something you're into, it's also just going to be this rich connection with the energy and allow yourself to sit in that. It's a very scorpionic vibe, and I think you'll enjoy it and learn a lot from it. We start off with a really nice card. We have the Magician. I do love this. It feels like something is ready to be begun. I do think with the Mars retrograde, this is very much the universe initiating something. I've noticed some people, not Scorpios per se, but I've noticed kind of across the board, we're dealing with just kind of unexpected happenings, like doors opening, and you're like, that was not the path I thought I was going to take, or the one that I would have wanted to maybe a couple years ago, but now the timing feels right. What's up to you in this moment is simply to step through, but know that you have the tools that you need and that the timing is right. It's just going to be one of those things that you really don't have to do anything in order to engage with it, besides take the step of interacting. So don't put pressure on yourself to kind of force these situations if they don't happen. That's just not, how the astrology is working out for you or the energy. But I do feel a lot of you are going to have kind of weird aha moments and magician moments when something that maybe you couldn't do or attain or engage in is just there. And you're like, wow, I thought that that was over, or I didn't expect that to happen. Um, but just embrace those magician moments. Don't try to force them. We do have a Father of Pentacles. I do think it is a good time and a good season to kind of, review where we are, what we have, what we need. This is also a card of standing up for ourselves. especially when it comes to material stuff. If, you're struggling with being respected at work or, with being respected in relationships or in life, you need to know your value. You need to not just know your value, but speak your value and communicate that value to people in power because you are just as powerful as those people. Just maybe it may just not be quite as obvious. And maybe they're abusing their power, which means they don't deserve it. So stand up for yourself if you need to use these antlers to go toe to toe with someone. Um, but make sure that the things that you are choosing to do and choosing to engage with don't strip you of your power. There will be something better for you than whatever situation is offered to you where you have to give up your autonomy or your needs and desires. Maybe it's a job that is going to take over your life. That job is not for you. Maybe it's a relationship where you have to sacrifice parts of self. That relationship is not for you, you know? And maybe it comes around later. Who knows? Doesn't matter. But this is about you in your power, not accepting less than you deserve. We do have a Knight of Cups, which kind of ties back into that of not, accepting things that are not meant for us, where we have to give up stuff. If you notice in this card, all those cups are broken. You know, you're probably going to have to mourn some doors closing, some things ending. Mars retrogrades do tend to strip things away. And then you're going to have, you know, part of the eclipse season and another trine to you in Pisces. So, just allow those things to fall away, but know that you can and should grieve them. Just because it wasn't meant to be doesn't mean that it doesn't deserve to be wept over. Doesn't mean that it doesn't deserve to be given respect. And when some things end, it doesn't mean that they were never valuable. It just means that they're no longer meant for you. And you will have to walk away, and it will not be easy, but it is for the best. And then we have the Mother of Swords, which I like. She's popped up a couple times in the other zodiacs. It's time to really trust your instincts, trust your intuition, move on your intellect and the accumulated knowledge you have gathered. Kind of ties back to the Father of Pentacles. Know the value of what you know. Know the value of the skills you have accumulated and honed. Know the value of your ideas. And then stand your ground. This doesn't require action per se. It just simply requires you saying, no, thank you. I'm not participating in that. That's not for me. I don't want to be a part of that. It's also taking back ownership of, thoughts or ideas. Maybe you have a project with someone and they're making pretty free with, your ideas and kind of passing them off as your own. Don't stand for it. Make sure people know what is yours. And this is not in like a clawing, constantly being adversarial and not knowing how to collaborate and share ideas, but it is about, really taking ownership and responsibility for your contribution to the world and, you know, ex- at at least expecting to be respected and honored for the vast knowledge and intuition that you have. It kind of ties back to that oracle card, that listening and really trusting. I'll say something if you want a little tip about receiving psychic information or energy. It doesn't always come as a conversation, it often comes as a knowing. And you're not going to get a physical, especially when you've progressed on your spiritual journey. There's a point at which the training wheels come off, and you're not going to get a confirmation of the universe per se. You're just going to be told some information in whatever way it comes, and then you get to do what you want with it. So just know that the more you progress, the less you're going to feel sure of stuff, which I think is healthy. We don't need to know 100% in order to be right. And we don't have to force other people to believe us when we know. That's for us. And last but not least, we do have the Lovers. It does feel that in all of this kind of complex skullduggery, There is a great ability to connect with others and to find people that match our energy and our vibe and who we can do things. It doesn't mean we don't need communication, but that there's a connection where we're not constantly having to affirm and reaffirm ideas and commitments because we know and trust the other person. This card can also be seen in other lights, kind of coming into attunement and alignment with self. Don't leave yourself out of the equation when engaging with life. You are very essential to everything that happens. Your quirks, your differences, maybe even things considered imperfections, they all create the whole that is a very essential and wild you. So in this season, find people who vibe with your vibe and make sure that you're vibing with your vibe. All right, my loves, that is my reading for Aquarius season. If you have any questions, you can pop them in the comments. We also have a video posted for just the major transits of Aquarius season. You can check that out. I love you all. I wish you a blessed Aquarius season, and I'll see you in a different time and space.